With me today, Superintendent Meg Mayo-Brown. It's the end of the school year, but the school year never ends for the superintendent.
No, it does not.
So many initiatives, so many things going on. But first, congratulations on another graduation at BHS.
Yes, it was a wonderful event. I love hearing the students give their speeches, and there's nothing like seeing 300 and so students cross that stage.
As well as the fourth of yours.
That's right. Yep, I have 444, and what was interesting this year was we had the children of 3 school committee members, the principal, and myself all graduating seniors this
Oh my
year.
goodness!
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, so it's a privilege to watch everybody cross the stage, and a special day to watch your own as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, lots of initiatives
Yes.
out there, moving parts. So let's start at the pre-K level. There's a new center that's being developed and ready to open probably midsummer. Talk about that.
So the Family and Community Engagement Center, we're able to partner with the town of Barnstable. Mark Ells has just been a super partner in this work. We came to him a number of months ago and said, listen, we really need a place where our families can go for one-stop services for Barnstable Public Schools. And he suggested the Hyannis Youth and Community Center, so we'll open up an office there July 1st. Previously, what we've been asking our families to do was to go from school to school to school, depending on how many children you had, to register. This way they can go to one place to do registration if they're new to Barnstable, but we think HYCC is also a great resource for our families to get to know. And so we're excited to be opening that up. The school committee approved a new position, a director of family and community engagement. That's been one of their 3 priority areas for the district, is to expand community partnerships. So in addition to running registration, this individual who will also support increased volunteerism in our schools. We've modeled that after Falmouth's VIPS program, Volunteers in Public Schools, so we're really great that we have a model that we can replicate here in the town of Barnstable.
That's fantastic. And moving, kindergarten registration is still ongoing.
It is, and we certainly want to encourage our families to register if they haven't. We're noticing that, and it's typical, a lot of families are waiting until August to register, but we do open it up in March so we can get a sense of our kindergarten numbers and plan appropriately for that. And our registrations are a little down, so I think that's just us needing to get the word out that registration is open and to encourage all families to register their kindergarten students.
Right. The summer will go by so fast that you want to get it done now and enjoy the summer and not really have to, oh my goodness, I have to register.
Exactly. And then that way we can share with families the name of their kindergarten teachers, and I think it just helps transition students into kindergarten when you have a good sense of who your teacher is, where the school is, and we can do some transition work with our students that way.
Excellent. And rolling right into our elementary schools, there's a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah.
You've got some principal searches and maker spaces. And
Oh, yeah.
So let's run down the line.
Sure, a lot going on there. So we're in the midst of 2 principal searches, one for West Village's elementary school and the other for the Barnstable Community Innovation School. So we have are through the initial application process phase. We're getting some feedback from school faculty and staff, particularly at the Barnstable Community Innovation School. We have 2 finalists that we've presented to families and staff, and I'm getting some feedback. So we hope by the end of June to make both of those appointments for each school. So more to come on that.
More to come on that, but more importantly is the name change and the school format change for the Innovation School is going to happen June 30th.
That's right. So as of June 30th, the Barnstable Community Horace Mann Charter Public School will transition to Barnstable Community Innovation School. And that's something that we've been working on all this past academic year with an innovation planning committee, which is in large part the teachers at the school currently developed an innovation plan that was approved by the school committee. And the exciting news about that is that the plan focuses on project-based learning. So that's a great opportunity to have some interdisciplinary work done for kids to focus on projects within the school. So that's their innovation, and we're really excited to support them in that process. Our goal through the transition was to keep teachers in place, support staff in place, Students who are already attending, no shifts in any of that. Again, the shift is really around the governance model. So rather than having a board of trustees, the school is, this local school committee, Barnstable school committee oversees the school, as do I. So that's the governance. People should notice the shift in that. But other than that, the day-to-day goings on of the school should be pretty much the same, with the emphasis on project-based learning this time.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
And then we go into the West schools. We have BWB with
Yep.
possible makerspace
Oh,
coming in.
yes. So BWB was the recipient of a $10,000 some funding from the town. And in speaking with Beth Forbes, the principal over there, I knew she was a little envious of Centerville's makerspace. So I said, would you want to think about using that funding to have your makerspace at Barnstable, West Barnstable? She said, absolutely. So that work is underway, and there's I would say, a healthy competition sometimes between Centerville and BWB, because both principals are sort of enjoy each other's work at the school and are always collaborating to do that work together.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, High West,
Yeah.
one of the busier elementary schools I've been to in our course of the work
Right.
with Channel 18,
Yeah.
is Kathy's going to get a little bit of help.
She is. Hyannis West is one of our larger elementary schools. It serves a large population of students who are learning English. So many diverse needs going on at the school. And what I had presented to the school committee was a request to support Kathy with an assistant principal. And again, we're excited that the assistant principal will be Mr. Eric Curry. Some families may know Mr. Curry from his role as a housemaster at Barnstable High School. So he's making this very big shift from teenagers to young elementary students. But I think what's great about that transition for him is Eric is trilingual. So he speaks Spanish, Portuguese, obviously English, but in terms of supporting the student population at High West, it's a perfect match.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's move right into intermediate school.
Yes, so intermediate school, there's certainly a lot going on there in terms of, we've received 2 large grants to focus more on career awareness for students. So we don't want our students to be waiting until they get to high school to really have some career exploration. So we received a $100,000 planning grant and then another $80,000 planning grant to support teachers and administrators at the school to really rethink and reimagine how we can help students understand what the career opportunities are and do a little bit of exploratory work in that area. Now that funding is on top of a $150,000 grant we received from Mass Ideas in order to redesign and reimagine what middle school could look like. So there are a number of subcommittees going on, state convenings where our teams go to think what are some of the best practices, because quite frankly, right, school looks like school did 100 years ago. We know we need to innovate around that, have a different experience for students, and so that's an 18-month planning grant, but we're very optimistic on the other side of that 18 months will be a new way of teaching and learning at Barnstable Intermediate School.
That's really exciting.
I think so.
Part of that whole career exploration, obviously, you said it happens in the 6th and 7th grades.
Yes.
Why is that more important than in the high school, opening their eyes that young?
Well, I think it starts the pathway or trajectory of trying to understand what careers exist. And so we can do that career exploration with 6th and 7th graders. So by the time they're entering Barnstable High School, they can think more about what pathway, because Barnstable High School is doing some pathway work in terms of identifying for students, here's a sequence of courses or a trajectory of courses that you could take that would better align with your career interest. Okay. Whether that's in something in the sciences or in the humanities, I think our families will start to see that Barnstable High School is getting more articulate in the program of studies about what pathways are and how students can align themselves to a pathway. So that work in 6th and 7th grade is very, exploration. So by the time, and believe me, we're not asking kids pick a career when you're in high school. We're just saying we can offer you some opportunities to learn something that might be better matched with your interest. So that work is ongoing, and the communication between the intermediate school and the high school for both staff and students, we want to see more of a through line between the two schools. And we have this incredible internship program at the high school where our senior internship opportunity students are matched out to various employers, community service organizations, and others, and they just have this amazing experience in their senior year. So if we can get probably more efficient and effective in terms of helping students see that pathway to their senior internship and build upon it starting in 6th grade, that's our goal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And finally, not
Yeah.
least though, Barnstable High School also with some changes this year.
Yes, so one of the things we did this year was study the leadership structure at the high school, because we always want to be sure that our schools are designed in the best way possible to support teaching and learning. And Barnstable High School has had a very traditional model of principal, assistant principal, 5 housemasters, and then obviously other positions that support that. So we wanted to take a look at to see if the way that was organized really was in service to students and teachers. So we studied it for the year. We went out to see other schools to see, we went to Everett, who has a great career pathway program. We learned a lot from them, how they run their pathways. We went to Waltham, just again to get a sense, Woburn, just to get a sense, what are other high school models looking like? We did a literature review to see what are some best practices around organizing a school in terms of the leadership, but most importantly, we surveyed the staff and said, what do you need? How can we better support you? And so working in a group of, there are about 12 of us that worked through that, looked at the survey data, looked at what other schools are doing and thought, okay, we think we need to redesign how that's done at Barnstable High School. So we proposed a model about everything. What is it that happens in a high school in terms of leadership? And then that really lent itself to knowing that, okay, we think we need someone to be sort of the lead in terms of curriculum instruction and assessment, be the lead in student support, and be the lead in management and operations. Because one of the things we took away from the survey is teachers were saying, listen, we really need to know who to go to for what, because those areas right now are kind of spread across a number of people. So we've posted for an associate principal for student support, an associate principal for management and operations, and then Scott Pye, who's the assistant principal, will be the assistant principal for curriculum instruction. And then with the associate principal for student support, we'll have 3 deans. So we're moving away from this housemaster model to a dean model, and so that will begin in September. Now, Principal Clark is very committed to having the least disruption to students. So right now, students are organized by houses. That will change, but we're trying to keep students with their counselors. So there's not this disruption in the relationship with a school counselor.
So much going on.
There is a lot going on. There is a lot going on. And, I just come back to the, when I started as a superintendent here, July of 2016, so I'm wrapping up my 3rd year, the school committee asked me to do 2 things when I came on board. One was to prepare the district for changing demographics. And so we're doing that work. So I was just looking at the data the other day. We have a 35% increase in English language learners in the district over the past 5 years. We have about a 15% increase in students who are identified as economically disadvantaged, right? So the school committee was very accurate in their foreshadowing, knowing that the district was changing and that we need to do a number of these initiatives to do that. And then the second thing they asked me to do was really to return the district to a school system rather than a number of schools with their own site-based management, right? So sort of pulling it back so that particularly our students who go to the 5 elementary schools, when they hit 4th grade at Barnstable United, that they have a consistent experience among the 5. So that's been much of this work over the past 3 years, which has led to a lot of different initiatives. But we're trying to say to folks, now at this point as we enter next year, much of those sort of new initiative feel should settle, and now we can really focus on supporting everyone within the initiatives that we've started over the past 3 years.
Right. And those initiatives, does that kind of come into maybe perhaps a rebranding of the district?
It does, and thank you for asking about that, because we've been working with someone to create an identity for Barnstable Public Schools, and I'm going to share some of that work at an upcoming school committee meeting. So we're going to have a new logo, sort of a new messaging around Barnstable Public Schools, because we really haven't, we haven't, I think our identity has changed. The school committee, probably 2 years ago, established a new vision, new core values. So we're trying to align our branding with those core values and vision.
And the last is 90 days is how long these kids are out of school. What's your advice for parents and children to kind of keep that sharpness?
Right.
It's something that happens every September. Is we've not really had any reading or mathematics or something like that over the summer.
Right.
What are some key points that people want to remember?
Well, we certainly want our students to have fun in the summer, right? But we also, one of the best pieces of advice I can give to parents is really to encourage summer reading. To engage your children in no matter their age, if you're going to the beach, take that book to the beach. The reading really helps. A number of our schools also have online software that students can access over the summer, particularly in math. So, again, we don't want to. There is such a thing as summer learning loss. We know kids come in with less than they left in June, but I think to the extent that parents can support reading, doing some of the online programming that schools have been offering through the year, will support less of a summer learning loss.
And maybe a science and experience and how ice cream melts.
That too.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Meg.
Thank you.